But, people try to also frame it's nuanced, so therefore you can't come to an answer. There's no clarity, because, it's just not possible to, nonsense. The Portuguese band Sati in Goa. I've been to Goa. Lovely place. So let me see. Johannes says, so what we can learn from the whole stream is that people have evil in their hearts, and we need a savior, and he came, and his name is Jesus. Yes, well, we people are evil. Horse says, my father was stationed in India in World War II, and the level of human misery in Calcutta was beyond comprehension. Oh man, yeah, India is on another level. Zahar says, the real damage was done by Islam. Continuous subjugation from 87-11 lasted until the British came. If the British didn't come to India, then India would have been a caliphate. I mean, yeah, it was pretty bad, right? Ron says, will you be doing a live stream with Thaddeus this month? I respect the work you do. Thank you, Ron. Oh, Ron. I'm doing one on Sunday. So I've been asked, apparently people have contacted him and asked him to do a stream with me about child marriage in Islam, because suddenly there's this whole spate, apparently, of people, Muslims, claiming there is no child marriage in Islam. And we all know that's not true. And I've done several shows on the topic. You can check my channel. And so Thaddeus has asked me to go back over that material of child marriage in Islam and child sex, infant sex in Islam. I mean, this is all perfectly legal. It's normal Islam. It's not radical in any way. Let me see. Horse says, I thought the left is secretly, of course, all for eugenics and Malthusian solutions. Yes, they are. I mean, if they're socialist, yes, they are. They're anti-life. They are very much anti-life. Let me see. Ishan says, as an Indian, I can attest that we hated each other for thousands of years before the Brits arrived. We can see that hatred used to only between India and Pakistan nowadays. Yeah. Malcolm says, if everyone in the world form a circle and pass money to one another, sooner or later we'd get back the money you originally had. Reparations for everybody. Well, if the money came into my hands, the guy next to me might get a little bit less, right? Just if you gave me like $1 million, I might give him like $3 or $4 for his trouble. Yeah, so let me see. Okay, missed all that. Yeah, we've got all that. So I think I've roughly caught up. No child marriage. How come in London I never see a hero wedding? No child. Well, child marriage happens in Islam. It's perfectly legal, perfectly normal, and perfectly disgusting. The Indians from India sent to South Africa as indentured slaves for 400 years. Were they? I don't know. 400 years? I don't think so. I mean, I'd have to look at it. The thing is, we have to get the facts before. What do South Africans think of Gandhi? I mean, I guess everyone thinks he did some good. So, but look into his life. I mean, he's got some weirdness going on. The lower caste converted to Christianity remained as lower caste. I've seen this in South India. They have their own church. Interesting. Let's see. Carol B says, this is why they push CRT. If there's no systemic racism, we're not forced into oppressed roles. Exactly. It's the same as the whole Marxist dialectic, right? You have to have the dialectic, the conflict of opposites, right? So, yeah. Let's see. The British looted $45 trillion from India in the colonial past. I'm going to have to see some evidence for that. I'm going to have to see the receipts. Seriously, I am going to have to see the receipts, because you know what? let me say this bluntly: the ANC have completely and utterly fucked up South Africa, my home country. Okay, they have royally and truly effed it up, and you know who they blame? Not themselves. The previous government stole the money. They stole $45 trillion from the coffers, and there's nothing left. And we had to sell our kids into bondage and slavery to get money to run the economy. So my response to what you've written here is bullshit. That's what I think. You're gonna have to bring me receipts, or honestly, but on the face of it, I don't believe you. So let me see. Okay, so Ray Johnson says, though it may not be technically slavery, but North Korean women are being forced to marry Chinese men because Chinese men significantly outnumber Chinese women. Yeah, this forced marriage stuff, yes, this is known. Okay, so yeah, it's like Horst says, it's like the Biden admin trying to put all blame on the prior admin. Okay, so yeah, okay, so guys, I think this ends it. Right, that's it from me. Yeah. So there's a lot more complexity to the issue, but there are questions to be considered. There are facts that aren't being looked at. But there's clearly hypocrisy. There's a denial of the facts, denial of history, and there are things that happened that are not being looked at. And there's not an equal application of justice here. There's socialist justice. Yeah, you get that, which is obviously we hate white people, we hate the West, we hate anyone who's not a leftist, right? Who's not a socialist, who doesn't want communism. Yeah, that's socialist justice. And there's obviously a defense or an omission, lying by omission for what the communists had huge amounts of slavery. They murdered people in millions, right? Industrialized slavery and genocide. Then of course you had slavery by black people, slavery by Muslims, slavery by people who weren't white, and this gets utterly and totally ignored. America had slavery for, I mean, really for about what, 80 something years. Britain wasn't engaged in slavery, but the period of which they really got involved in slavery was very short, relatively speaking, maybe 150 years. And yet we're ignoring 1400 years of slavery in Islam, right? You're ignoring all of this. So look, we have facts. There are things to be explored and discovered here and questions to be asked. And don't let yourself be shamed into guilt. Don't be guilty. Don't be shamed. And yeah, and look, honestly, this stuff makes me angry, right? This is my channel. I talk about the things that upset me. I talk about the things that really get to me here. This is what I want to talk about, things that I think are important. And yeah, I think, look, I know lots of people want to talk, well, if we just speak nicely to the bad people, if we just use pleasant words, they'll change the, you know what, in my job, previously my job was to make sure that person A didn't kill person B, and they would probably have to kill me to get to person B because I was in the middle. Trust me, when someone is about to pull out a weapon, that's not the time to have a pleasant conversation with him. That's not the time to go, well, have you got Jesus in your heart, because he's about to stab you in the throat and kill you. All right. So understand there's a time for pleasant words, and there's a time for punching someone in the throat and killing them if you have to.